Kyle Curran. We run the full service funnel building agency, linchpinfunnels.com. And we talk about funnels in business, in life, in priorities, and all kinds of stuff. And today, we are talking about, I ain't got time for that. I ain't got time for that. What is that? Just thinking about a lot of our clients who end up coming to us. One of the big stumbling blocks is like just this notion of there's so much to learn to be successful with this marketing world. The funnel is only one component. And within that component, there's the design, the funnel design, the graphics, the typography, the color palette, the copy, like urgency, scarcity, all this stuff. Like it takes a lot to get good at that. And like people are really busy talking about what their pain points and problems are for their clients and reaching out and algorithms and page traffic and all that. So I really want to center the conversation around like kind of owning what is yours to own and sort of starting to delegate and leverage other resources. Could be AI, could be employees, could be contractors, could be whatever, so that you can free yourself up. And we do have a case study of our own to relate to. That's the sort of frame.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a question for you. Why do you think people don't reach out for help?
Great. Let's get into the story because I can best answer this by relaying my own personal accounts. So this time last year, we were in Japan. We had this giant trip. Oh, it was amazing. It was gorgeous. It was beautiful.
Our first time in Asia.
Our first time in Asia, for sure. We've been to Europe a bunch, but that was our first time going to Asia. Mm-hmm. And, it was a big trip. It was kind of an expensive flight, as you might imagine. And at that point in the business, it was really solopreneur mode with me, where like I hadn't yet involved Alma.
It was a beginning stage. Like that week, I started getting involved.
Was it? Okay. Yeah. That probably explains it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, but like, as a solopreneur in charge of marketing and sales and all the fulfillment, which includes copy, graphics, design, typography, all the stuff I mentioned, also like, client communications, project management. And at the same time, I was starting to launch a new product. So it was like total freaking overwhelm. And I had everything. I thought I had to do everything. And I didn't plan appropriately. And I was stressed about money the whole time. I was stressed about client fulfillment. And it was a freaking disaster. I mean, it's not to say that like the entire trip was a bust because we had some gorgeous moments, but it was probably 40% kind of negative and crappy to 60% awesome.
Yeah.
Pretty accurate. Whereas this previous 3 weeks, we were on a trip across the country where we had less free time to work.
Yeah, because we drove like half the day.
We were driving all the time. So we were more busy. And yet through planning and mostly delegating, so enabling others, so empowering others to handle things that I don't need to do. Either they're better at them than me, or just can do it as well as me. And it really freed me up. It's a night and day difference in terms of our experience as a family, like emotionally and like frequency wise. We had a much better trip, much more bonded at the end. Clients were happier. Everything was different. So to answer the question, so that's like the frame. So that's what happens when you lean into this releasing of tight grip on things. That's what I had. I had a tight grip on things. I thought that in order to reach out to someone else, it would cost too much. I felt like I kind of didn't deserve the luxury of getting help from someone else. I don't know. I felt like I just created these situations, these kind of like problems that I had to solve myself. It's like this weird energy that involves a bit of selfishness, a bit of guilt, some scarcity mindset, all kinds of stuff. And what happens through empowering others, like, yeah, it's going to cost you money to pay someone to do some stuff. It totally will. But what you gain from that is like a multiple of the investment.
But I think we kind of have to take a step back here just for a moment, because like when you were in that state, sure, you can call it selfishness, guilt, whatever, all these different things. But when you were in that state, what did you want from us? What were you really craving? What were you calling for?
Oh, so like I was really craving or calling for understanding, probably some sympathy. Yeah, just like recognition that this was a hard situation, that I was doing a lot of work in order to provide the means for us to be where we were.
So you were calling for help.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah.
I was, but it was in an indirect and often like rude way, you know? Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
This is why she gets paid the big bucks. Absolutely.
Exactly. So you were calling for the thing that you weren't willing to admit that you were calling for, right?
Man, you just leveled me. It's totally true. So you can proactively call for help in an organized way that raises the frequency of the planet, or you can reactively call for help in a lifeline sense where you're reducing the frequency of the planet.
Exactly. Yes.
Wow. Mind blown, y'all. Yeah, that's totally true. Yeah, so by doing it yourself and getting overwhelmed and projecting your comfort and your inability to handle it all, you are still asking for help. So might as well just take the responsibility, get the help, and then deliver the result without anyone suffering.
Exactly.
Podcast over.
But that's the thing. It's also like, you know, there's this fear of responsibility by being proactive, right? But on the back end, you are taking responsibility for clients. You're taking responsibility for all of it, and you're like living in this false reality of like, I can't take the responsibility for it, while at the same time I'm taking responsibility for all of these different things. That's just it gets really muddy and confusing, and
yeah.
And it just shows you that when we are all, and we've all found ourselves in that state, and you are one of the few people who's actually vulnerable enough to admit that and have a conversation on camera about this. But we all get caught up in that. And it's in the only way that we can really describe that is kind of like the immature part of us is about the show, right? Because that immature part doesn't know, it doesn't have the ability to separate this.
Yeah. That gets into the psychological component. Whenever you are not running the show, whenever you're not the centered self, you'll have a part of you from your past that will step up and help in the best way that it can, and it will probably be immature. So you can employ them, or you can employ someone else who is going to be mature and contractually deliver the result for you.
Yeah, and like, you know, like when you are in that immature state, like your child who is immature by nature has to be, can't be any more mature than she is, right? Doesn't really respect you, doesn't really feel safe with you. It's like, why are you acting like me? Like when you're like 3 decades older than me, like it just doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah.
And then your wife or your husband will not really respect you because they don't feel safe. It's like, I don't know who this is, but this is not unequal, right? It just gets really confusing. And all you're wanting is help.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's really where I think we all find ourselves, which is really why we've heard so many times from different entrepreneurs, and one of them, obviously, in our community is Russell Brunson, who you know this quote. I'm totally going to paraphrase it, that nothing helps you develop personally better than entrepreneurship.
Yeah. In a nutshell, yeah, entrepreneurship is like the perfect vehicle for self-development.
Yeah. Because you just don't notice that, right? Yeah. And like if you're in business with your spouse, you know, if you have had a job before, like your spouse doesn't really get to see these parts of you during the day if you're in a job, right? They don't get to see, even if you work from home and you run a company, and if you're not working with your spouse, they don't get to see this.
Yeah.
Right? They're kind of oblivious to this behavior. And but if you are at home, working from home, or working with them, they get to see these immature parts of you, which is really hard for both of you. It's really tough because your spouse doesn't want you to be this way. Your spouse wants you to be the strong, confident, reliable leader, and you want to be that for your spouse too, because you don't want them to see you any other way. It just gets really, it gets tough. So in a nutshell, really asking for help. The pain, as you know, like I'm gonna kind of quote Tony Robbins, is well, no, I would quote him, but what did you just get a?
No, what?
No. What happens is that we don't make progress towards anything until the pain of not getting that is greater than the pain of getting it, right? Until the pain of staying the same is far greater than the pain of actually asking for help.
When you were talking about how hard it was to see your partner and to kind of see them as not the emotionally mature leader, my thought went to the fact that how that is a gift. So it totally ties it into what you're saying, because it is the catalyst. It is the thing that exposes, when the tide comes out and you see all the shells and rocks underneath, you're exposed, and business is that catalyst, but also kind of being overwhelmed is that catalyst. And you can either level up and find ways to be more efficient and kind of 2x your way through things, or you can be like, you know what, it's time to really go get someone who is way more passionate about this, way more skilled, has put in ideally decades, if not years, of ideally years, but not decades of work in this, so that you don't have to. Because when it comes down to it, there's just certain things that you don't have the time to get awesome at. You got to lean into other people. If you want a high quality, world-class product, you can't be high quality, world-class in everything. I think there are a few people who approach that. Elon Musk, this one is coming to mind for me, where he literally was like, I need to learn how rockets fire. I need to learn rocket science in order to get the job done. But, he's few and far between, and he's kind of a weird dude, right? So we're not all him.
Yeah, but I think with business owners, we have a habit of, I've been in the solopreneurship world for longer than you have. Yep. And it's like, I am my own accountant, I am my own marketer, I am my own salesperson, I am my own whatever, all of these different things. That I do all of my deliveries, and I do it all. And sure, you can do it all, but you're really not going to be able to scale. Absolutely. As a solopreneur, for me, until we decided that I was joining Linchpin Funnels, I wasn't making any more money. It was just kind of stagnant and constant, and that because I didn't have the energy, the ability to actually go all in and even figure out who and how I want to serve them to scale it, because I had to do the accounting and the book and all these different things. So you can't scale if you do all of it.
You can't. Which
is really what we talked about a while ago with you. You were whenever I was dropping these numbers, these goals, these monetary goals, you were freaking out because in your head you were a jack of all trades, and there's no way that you can reach for this number that I was throwing at you.
There's no more of me.
Exactly.
Yeah. I really felt that pressure, and I would have seasons of would lurch between marketing and then sales and then implementation, / fulfillment, and then, we need more sales, let me go market some more, let me go spend the next 3 hours over here and generate some interest. And then we have uneven months because of that. For sure. And leaning into Linchpin has helped that out a bunch by creating consistency. But what helps even more is getting help with stuff so you don't have to do everything yourself.
Yeah. So how did you do that?
Well, first bringing you on board, and you were like, dude, you need help. So you got me help. You found some excellent funnel builders who were walking the stage at FHL and collecting their plaques for being fully certified funnel builders. And we began the process of training and delegating and transferring responsibility. And we're now at the place where I can market and sell something, do like the real hard knowledge transfer marketing strategy stuff that is like the secret sauce, and then create a package, a bundle of resources to be implemented by the team.
And then you just monitor and manage the
Yeah.
team and make sure that
Check
it
in
is
daily.
high quality. That
Yeah.
is so, and they love doing it. They're loving it. They're like, they want to stay long term.
They're excited.
They're-
We just had our lead funnel builder say like, hey, I want to just work with you guys.
Exactly.
It's so working right now.
Exactly. So you're actually getting the help, and in turn, you're helping other people get what they want.
And yes, and I get to serve more people. Like there are people out there suffering with this stuff, like struggling and unhappy with the results that they're getting from their own funnel building attempts.
Absolutely.
Like
Yes.
so many entrepreneurs, I get friend requests or I'm going out there and see their friends' suggestions, and like I'm always like, okay, let me see what you got. And there's so much average stuff out there.
Absolutely. And there's so many people who got burned by these horror stories that they share about marketing agencies and things. And that's really something that when you and I talked about this, we didn't want to scale fast. We wanted to scale slow with heart. And that's really something that our clients love about working with us, because they know that we're in it with them, right?
We could go a lot faster if we were cold-hearted marketers, but we're like, no, it's cool. Let's work together. Like, yeah, it's a different vibe for sure.
Absolutely. And yes, and there's a time to go fast, and there's a time to slow down and meet the person where they're at. If they're battling cancer, or if they're having a big loss in their family, or if their business just kind of imploded and they need to take a break and step back. Like, we're not going to push them. We're not like, oh, forget that, we got to go hard. Yeah. No, you've got to really meet people where they are, because at the end of it all, we are all about building relationships, because that's who we are. We are relationship creatures. We're not ticks. We're like lone wolves, right? Like we're creatures who need relationships, who need others. And that's kind of upfront for us at all times.
Totally.
Yeah. And also because we kind of know what it's like to be alone, like not just in this, but in other areas of our life. And when we like find each other and find our people, we started going much, much further.
Yeah, come alive. I found that when working with clients, they get so excited by the progress that we make, especially in the beginning. It infuses so much energy into the project and so much belief and excitement.
Yeah. We get feedback like, oh, we've done more in 1 week than we did with you than we did in the last 5 months.
6 months.
6 months.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's huge, right? That's big. And it is, I mean, of course, I'm going to praise our process, but it isn't just the process, okay? It's really the feeling of not being alone. Yeah. I really think that everybody that we meet, that we work with, because you attracts like, right? So we know that this is kind of our own experience as well. But everybody that we get to work with is just really afraid of doing it alone. And when you have somebody who's going to guide you, somebody who's going to hold you accountable, somebody who's going to cheer you on and acknowledge you and say, you know what? Yeah, the stuff that you just did that nobody gets to see, like that's big stuff. That's big. That's huge. To be acknowledged and to be appreciated, it really pushes the person forward. This is why I believe that, kind of just selling courses or being removed from your client's experience doesn't help anybody.
It doesn't. I think the worst case for a former client that we had, where they were actually antagonistic towards their client and were saying bad things about them. And
Oh, people are stupid, and people are they're stupid. It's like you're not gonna go far.
that's the energy you're putting out to the world.
Absolutely, and one of the things I know, like I'm kind of going all over the place, but I remember when I was working for Tony, the director of coaching at the time, she's no longer there. She said she kept this in my head at all times. Just always imagine as if your client can hear your thoughts. And that really stuck with me. So it's like, just assume the client can hear your thoughts. And that's really important. And so,
I love it.
yeah.
I think we should assume everyone can hear our thoughts.
Yeah.
And have it hold us accountable to have very fancy thoughts.
Exactly.
That is such a great thought.
Thank you. It's such a personal accountability, right?
Yeah.
Because yes, of course, the reality is they can't hear your thoughts, but just if you assume they could, it's like, hey, what if they could feel it? What I'm thinking? What if they could hear my thoughts? What would I want them to hear? And that's such a big thing for us too when we work with our clients, because they really just want a partnership. They want to be in partnership, and that's that piece of not being alone, right?
Yeah. And I love to work with you, but also you can form your own mastermind. You can just grab a bunch of people and have them hold you accountable. If you truly are the kind of person who likes to roll up your sleeves and do it yourself, and you want to acquire the skills, you just want to be held accountable, just get a group of people. It's all about keeping up with the Joneses from a psychological perspective.
Yes, that's how we are.
And so we don't want to disappoint people. So you can hire us, and we will make it so you won't want to disappoint us, which happens. We get that vibe all the time.
All the time.
But really,
it's like I just don't want to let you guys down.
Yeah. It happens a bunch. But if you are a self-starter, or you're kind of on your own journey where you want to do this
and
yourself,
you don't care about it.
Yeah, you don't want it done for you, then just grab some people.
And time isn't of the essence.
Yeah.
That's the thing, we when I think about, because James and I talk about our clients a lot, not gossip, more like what happened here, why did this not work? Of course, it should.
Well, we're looking to improve.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's with all of that, it comes down to them obviously not being alone, right? It's like okay, we this process was longer than we anticipated. Well, why? And it always comes back to because they had to do it by themselves, and they just couldn't do it by themselves, or they didn't want to do it by themselves, or they were afraid of doing it by themselves, and they were afraid of doing it wrong, or they were right? That's really what it comes down to. So we always do so much better when somebody else is with us.
For sure. So leveraging another person, whether you're hiring someone or getting a mastermind together, just getting some personal accountability. So why do they not want to? What's so uncomfortable about doing it by yourself? Doing it alone?
Well, I'm gonna ask you. You and I have this conversation about our house, right? And I would be like, well, why didn't you do it? Or why don't you want to do it? And you have recently started telling me, well, I'll do it if you do it with me. I want to do it with you. I don't want to do it by myself. Any project, doesn't matter, right? It's the backyard, the front yard,
the garage.
Yeah, it's I don't want to do it by myself. I'll do anything you want me to do, but I don't want to do it by myself. So why?
I have an answer. I was just wondering, if you had a special performance coaching reason. Because of the second guessing of getting in your head of if you have a strong internal critic that is kind of on your shoulder, judging you the whole time, that's an uncomfortable position to be in. And if it's just you and your own results and your own, it's almost as if you're not enough in order to overcome that, to get through to actually deliver the result yourself. But if it's someone else on the other line, it's you have this anticipation. You don't want to lose social status. You don't want to lose respect. You don't want to lose trust. You don't want to waste your own money if you've actually paid for someone. Then you're going to do it.
And you like connection, right?
Sure.
Entrepreneurship is a lonely road very often, right? So you're booking for connection. You're looking for someone to give you feedback, to bounce ideas off of them, to laugh about this, to smile about it, to just kind of like have him on camera and kind of say, oops, I just did this. And the other person on the other side laughs about it and says, I've done that a million times, right? It's that connection.
Makes it easier.
It makes everything so much easier. And, and yes, there are plenty of people out there who are like, no, I'm totally not like this, guys. I can do anything. I work best on my own. And that is awesome.
Yes.
But those are not the people we work with, because those, it just doesn't work. They don't need us.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't work for them. So we love working with people who are, number one, short for time, right? They're like, I need this now. I want to do this now. My kids miss me. My spouse misses me. I want to camp under the stars in Grand Canyon, right? It's like whatever that time pressure is, that's the person that we work with. Because even some of our clients who have not moved fast and they recently had a giant event take place in their life, all of a sudden it's like, oh, I gotta do this now. And there's a sense of urgency. So we really thrive in working with people who have a sense of time urgency, because those people are super committed to their success, and we love helping, but we can't want it more than you want it, right? You have to want it more, and we just have to be the wind under your wings, right? So that's really what we work with, and that time pressure. If you don't have a time pressure, then we definitely encourage you to figure it out on your own, or find a mastermind, like James said.
Or just kind of like defer it until later. I mean, I'm talking to a prospect who's won a 2CCX award, and he has this great idea for something that we want to do together, but he's just really focused right now on his main business. And it's like, let's just talk in a couple months. Like it'd be that kind of thing too, where it's like, I just don't have the time to dedicate to this project, so we can defer it to later. But I still know that I don't want to do it myself. Yeah.
So to wrap this one up, okay, the reason we wanted to talk about this particular topic today is because there's a night and day difference in how our business has been running last summer vacation and this summer vacation. Massive difference. And the difference maker was getting help. Yes. And understanding that you're always asking for help, right? Every act is an act of love or cry for help. So you are always, if you're suffering, you are crying for help. You're asking for help. You can ask for help in a mature, grown way, or you can ask for help in a toddler way. Right? It just depends which way you're more accustomed to asking, right? Which muscle is strong, right? That's all it is. And number 3, ask us for help, or form a mastermind or some sort of accountability group that is going to get you where you want to be in your business.
Word, perfectly stated. Thanks everyone for tuning in live. And shoot us an email. You can reach me at james@lunchpainfunnel.com. Let me know what you thought about the episode. If you want us to do this thing for you, happy to help. Peace out.